This is the Voices of Life podcast, a ministry of the Church for life. Today's Did You Know? Episode takes us into one of the most extraordinary presidential successions in American history. The night Calvin Coolidge became the 30th President of the United States. A moment that unfolded quietly. A moment lit only by a kerosene lamp. A moment witnessed by just a few family members in a small Vermont farmhouse. Pastor David will lead us through this unique presidency and the lasting impact President Coolidge had on the country. Let's begin.
This is the Voices of Life, a ministry of the Church for Life. I'm Pastor David. Today's Did You Know episode takes us into the most extraordinary presidential succession in American history. The night Calvin Coolidge became the 30th President of the United States. A moment that unfolded quietly. A moment lit only by a kerosene lamp. A moment witnessed by just a few family members in a small Vermont farmhouse. In the summer of 1923, President Warren G. Harding was traveling across the nation on what he called Voyage of Understanding. He hoped to reconnect with American people after scandals had shaken confidence in his administration. But during the trip, Harding became seriously ill. What began as suspected food poisoning quickly turned into pneumonia and heart failure. On August 2, 1923, at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, President Harding died in San Francisco at the age of 57. The nation was stunned. Few Americans knew how sick he truly was. Coolidge receives the news. Vice President Calvin Coolidge was far from Washington, visiting his family home in Plymouth Notch, Vermont, a tiny village, a quiet farmhouse, no electricity, no telephone. The Coolidge family had already gone to bed. Just after midnight, a messenger arrived with the news. President Harding was dead. Coolidge was awakened and told he was now President of the United States. At 2:47 a.m. on August 3, 1923, Calvin Coolidge took the presidential oath of office. Not in Washington, not in a courthouse, and not in a grand chamber, but in the front room of his family farmhouse. The oath was administered by his father, John Calvin Coolidge Sr., a Vermont notary public, a justice of the peace, and on that night the man who swore the next president of the United States. The ceremony was simple. A kerosene lamp provided the only light. Coolidge placed his hand on the family Bible. A few relatives and neighbors stood quietly nearby. No reporters, no photographers, no officials from Washington. Later, to remove any legal doubt, Coolidge repeated the oath before a federal judge in Washington. Calvin Coolidge was known as Silent Cal, a man of few words, disciplined, honest, steady. Before becoming vice president, he served as governor of Massachusetts, gaining national attention during the Boston police strike of 1919, when he declared, "There is no right to strike against the public safety by anybody, anywhere, anytime." This statement made him a national figure and helped place him on the 1920 Republican ticket. Restoring trust after the scandal. Although Harding was never proven to have personally profited from corruption, his administration was shaken by scandals, including the infamous Teapot Dome scandal involving illegal oil leases and bribery. Coolidge responded with calm determination. He cooperated fully with the investigation. He removed officials implicated in wrongdoing. He emphasized integrity, fiscal responsibility, and transparency. And slowly, confidence in the presidency began to return. Coolidge finished Harding's term and won election in 1924. His presidency focused on limited federal government, lower taxes, balanced budgets, and reducing the national debt. The nation experienced significant economic growth during much of the Roaring Twenties. Coolidge famously said, "The chief business of the American people is business." Calvin Coolidge's succession remains one of the most unique in American history. A president sworn in by his own father, in a farmhouse, in the middle of the night, by light of a single lamp, a peaceful and constitutional transfer of power during a moment of national uncertainty. It is a reminder that leadership does not always begin in grand halls or under bright lights. Sometimes it begins quietly in a small room with a Bible, a lamp, and a solemn oath. This has been Voices of Life, where history lives, where faith speaks, and where hope rises. I'm Pastor David. Thank you for joining me for this Did You Know journey into the America's most remarkable presidential moments.
Thank you for joining us today on the Voices of Life podcast. On behalf of Pastor David, as you step back into your day, may truth guide you, may hope strengthen you, and may God's presence walk beside you. If this episode encouraged you, share it with someone who needs a word of life. Until next time, stay faithful, stay grounded, and keep listening for the voice that leads you forward.